Hello and welcome again to this episode 8 of Linda Wright Planning Pundit. It's probably going to be a quicker recording video for this week, but it's one of these things that has come up and I thought I would share it with you so that you are armed, possibly dangerous maybe, but you are armed with knowledge regarding planning and possibly some of your development projects. So as I said, my name is Linda Wright. I'm on YouTube as the Planning Pundit, and I report on or highlight what's happened the previous week. So what am I talking about this week? Well, as you'll have seen from the front screen, I'm talking about Class MA, but I think Class MA itself deserves a much longer video. And Class MA is the conversion of use Class E buildings, business, commercial, service, to residential. It replaces the old Class O, which was part of the general permitted development order. It's now Class MA. So what do I want to talk to you about? Class MA on its own, and I think next week's video will probably be on Class MA. Class MA, you need to be aware, and again, this has come up this week, that you cannot do external alterations under Class MA. A lot of people have fallen foul of this, and I've seen lots of things on social media. And I've got a condition. How can the council? How can they? Because it's all us and them, which is wrong, really. But how can they, i.e., the council and the planners, put a condition on that says I have to submit a full planning application? Well, quite easily, really, because Class MA does not include alterations. And I think here we're talking substantial or material alterations if you're just going to stick a new window in. But there are some councils out there who might be pedantic and might say that that is an external alteration. So what you need to do is not rely on your change of use. And that's what it is. I suppose it's the difference between conversion and change of use. Because Class MA is permitted in a conservation area. So obviously, if you start making external changes to a building, that's going to have an impact on the conservation area. So the external changes have been blocked, if you like, from Class MA. So Class MA is purely for the change of use of a use Class E building. You can change that building from offices and all sorts of other things that are in the Class E list. I'm not going to go through that with you now, although that is probably going to be the subject of another video. So use Class E can be converted, offices, commercial service, the like, can be converted to residential development, flats, dwelling houses, but it's generally flats. You can change the use. You cannot make external alterations. So if you want to put new doors, new windows, you want to put this trendy cladding on the outside, you want to paint it all grey, which is what I see as I'm driving around the country, then anything that changes in a material, well, actually any changes, requires a separate full planning application. Now, why am I talking to you about this and why does it matter? Well, it matters because if you are merrily thinking, tra-la-la, we'll get our Class MA prior approval from the council and it's badged as permitted development, it drives me nuts. It's not. You need to apply for the prior approval of the local council. Once you've got the prior approval of the local council, you can then think about doing your conversion. But the council are likely to have put a condition on there if they've seen in any of your drawings that you're going to make any changes to windows or doors or any of the elevational treatments are going to be changed. They are going to put a condition on there that says you need to submit a full planning application for the external changes because it is not covered by Class MA. It's a bit of nonsense, to be perfectly honest, and it seems to me that it's been ill thought out, because this whole badged as permitted development, again, don't get me started, this whole permitted development was supposed to speed up the planning process. And if you now have to then go and get a full planning application for your external changes, yes, arguably it means that you might be able to go in and start ripping things out and doing the internal stuff. But there is a condition on that prior approval that says you must submit a planning application, which means if you don't discharge that condition, then arguably it can invalidate your prior approval consent. So why am I telling you this? Well, I'm telling you this because if you know about this and you are making changes, there are a lot of people out there who are looking at buildings, they're just doing the internal work, no changes externally whatsoever. Fine, crack on. However, if you are going to make some external changes, then me talking about this on here, and hopefully a few more people are watching, then hopefully you will know about this. Two things. You can either submit an application before your prior approval application to make the external changes to the building. And you can, in a covering letter, you can say, we will be submitting a prior approval. However, the problem with that is if you submit your full planning application, it's going to cost you 460 something quid plus planning portals fee. If you submit that, you pay that, you get the drawings done, you go through all the rigmarole. If you don't get your prior approval consent, your prior approval from the council, then you've wasted your time and your money by getting the external changes approved. So my suggestion, and it is just that, and I'm sure you will do whatever you want to do, no matter what I say. My suggestion is to get your prior approval in, get your application in for the prior approval of the council. Submit that. If you are going to get that and you get the council's prior approval, or the council say prior approval not required. Sometimes they do, not any. If you then get your prior approval, you consent, your letter, you're ready to go, either then submit your application for the external changes, or another way that, because there will be a condition, or another way that this can be done is you can submit both applications at once. Now, there's always a risk with all of these things. There's a risk that, you submit and you pay for everything and you don't get your prior approval, but you get your external changes, or you don't get your external changes, but you get your prior approval consent. So there's a risk with all of these things, but at least if you know, you have options. You can either submit an application beforehand. Again, there's a risk with that. You may not get your change of use. You can get that approved, box that off, move on. You could even then start doing the external changes and putting the scaffolding up and whatever needs to be done. Or you can submit your prior approval, get a condition put on there, and then submit a full planning application. Or you can submit your prior approval application and your full planning application for the external changes all at the same time. Don't forget there's a whole raft of other issues that need to be addressed in Class MA. And again, this is why I think I need to do a separate video on this. So you can do that and you can do it all at once. Now, the reason that I brought this up is if you get prior approval consent from the council, they grant their prior approval. You then don't want a lot of people come to me and they've got bridging loans and they've got very strict financing deals and they're suffering financially. So the last thing you don't want to be bitten on the bum if you get prior approval and there's a condition on there that says, we've noticed that you're making external changes. You'll have to submit a full planning application, because that full planning application could take months to come through. I've got councils at the moment who are just taking months and months and months and months to deal with planning applications. So if, again, you've got tight constraints with your financing, just be aware that you might, if you're doing external changes, you might have to, and the last thing you want to be doing is waiting months again for your external changes. So either submit before, submit together, or submit after, but be aware that Class MA does not include external changes. So thank you very much for listening to this. I hope this was of some help. My name is Linda Wright, the Planning Pundit, here on YouTube, rattling away about planning issues that have come up in the previous week. I hope they are useful and to a certain extent entertaining. I hope certainly that they're understandable and you don't mind looking at my ugly mush going through all of these things. I will leave it there until next time. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe. Subscribe doesn't mean that you need to pay me anything or YouTube. I'm doing these things for free, just out of the goodness of my heart. And if you believe that, you believe anything. Thank you once again from the Planning Pundit, Linda Wright. I will see you next time.